Schools are held accountable for ensuring that ELL students make adequate yearly progress each year towards the ultimate goal in 2014, when 100% of all students, including ELLs, will be expected to pass their state's test each year. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1990 requires that students with disabilities receive the appropriate educational services, including accommodations during testing. The following presentation will not only focus on the dilemma of accommodating assessment for ESOL and ESE students, but will also present several perspectives, pros and cons, as well as solutions for the dilemma. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, you will be able to understand the importance of accommodating ESOL and ESE students and apply what you learned within your future classroom.
The submersion approach is described as language minority students being placed in an ordinary classroom where English is spoken. There is no special program to help them overcome the language problem. Submersion is aptly described as sink or swim. The minority home language is not used at all in the classroom. This approach is seen amongst many schools that we've been in. One of the identified pros of submersion is the opportunity to effectively integrate all students into instruction. Oftentimes, when students are pulled out of the classroom, they miss out on the social aspect of school. When ESOL and ESE students are pulled out of the classroom, they're not given the opportunity to work with classmates. Since all students are required to learn the same curriculum, the sink or swim approach seems to be the most obvious method to accommodate this requirement. Problems with the sink or swim approach can be detrimental to ESOL and ESE students. When students are thrown into an atmosphere in which they are not comfortable, they will most likely be unsuccessful. How are students supposed to learn if they're unable to understand what's being taught? Students need to be able to follow along with instruction in order for them to be able to meet the requirements of their state-mandated tests, such as FCAT. Not only will these students fall behind, but they would also get frustrated, and that in itself is a problem since students cannot learn at a frustration level. The constructivist theory goes hand in hand with the submersion perspective. We know the constructivist theory as one who constructs their own knowledge, and based on information that we've learned about submersion, ESOL and ESE students learn how to construct their knowledge about a particular subject when they're thrown into learning. When students are being educated in a submersion learning style, they're encouraged to construct knowledge based off of social and cultural understandings. They can learn from prior knowledge. All of this aligned with the constructivist theory. Varied assessments accommodate students' specialities and learning styles. An accommodation for ESOL and ESE students involves changes to testing procedures, testing materials, or the testing situation in order to allow students meaningful participation in an assessment. In order for ESOL and ESE students to adapt to the instruction, there has to be varied accommodations made on assessments. With varied assessments, ESOL and ESE students are able to read and understand what test questions are being asked, and will give them the opportunity to learn and understand the same curriculum as the rest of the students. This helps ESOL and ESE students become prepared for state-mandated tests that they are required to take. When tests are varied for ESOL students, it decreases frustration level and will assist students in becoming ultimately fluent and successful. On the other hand, varied assessments are more difficult to create, so sometimes teachers don't want to do the extra work to create these assessments. It may become difficult for teachers to find ways to vary their assessments, so ESOL and ESE students may have easier work than the mainstream students. It is often easier for teachers to lower expectations of ESOL and ESE students rather than to take the time and research effective strategies and ways to accommodate assessments. When varying assessments, teachers should focus on the curricular alignment assessment theory. Curriculum alignment is the conscious congruence of three educational elements: curriculum, instruction, and assessments. Since most states, if not all, require that all students pass state-mandated tests, curricular alignment is important to ensure that ESOL and ESE students are meeting all requirements. Teachers must focus on the curriculum of their state and make sure that their instruction is aligned to ensure success on all assessments.
From all of the research that we have looked over, we conclude that both perspectives are executed correctly. They both can highlight success for ELL and ESE students. It is our job as teachers to provide the best method of teaching for each individual student, regardless if they are considered mainstream or not. When teachers create effective accommodations for their students, we believe that ELL and ESE students will be just as successful as mainstream students when taking assessment. It is important that we vary assessments and accommodate students based on their needs. You can read directions slowly, read test questions, present the test with Braille, large print, sign language, etc., allow dictionaries or calculators, and provide verbal prompts. Now, let's see what you have learned. On behalf of Victoria, Christina, Alexis, Teresa, and Ferdinand, we hope that you learned something and we hope that we made a difference in your future classrooms. Thank you for watching our presentation.